such an interesting character because I think his mind was just unique and unusual.
If that news were ever to break, the world would seem to pause for a heartbeat. Diane Keaton, a woman who taught generations how to live boldly, laugh without restraint, and stay unapologetically themselves, has always felt larger than time. The idea of losing her alone would send shockwaves everywhere. Tributes would flood in from across the globe. Fans, actors, filmmakers, all sharing stories, memories, and the quiet ways she shaped their lives, every voice adding to a shared sense of loss. But amid all the headlines and flashing cameras, one voice would carry a different weight: Goldie Hawn. Not just a colleague, not just a friend in public photos, but someone who shared decades of private laughter, unspoken understanding, and moments the world was never meant to see. Her words wouldn't sound like a standard tribute. They would feel personal, intimate, real. So what would Goldie feel in that very first moment? And how did Diane touch her heart in ways the world could never see? Let's find out. The shocking news. It was October 11th, 2025, when the news broke and the world stopped breathing for a moment. Phones lit up, headlines flashed, and Hollywood fell silent when they heard the words, Diane Keaton had passed away. Everyone was shocked by this sudden news. In a few moments, fans began gathering around her home in Los Angeles. Flowers piled on brick steps, bowls of lemons. Her favorite appeared everywhere. Tributes poured in faster than the news could catch up. Jane Fonda's voice shook as she spoke live on air. She never tried to be perfect, and that's why she changed us. Meryl Streep shared a simple, aching message: "My sister in fear and bravery." And Reese Witherspoon wrote, "She showed us that beauty isn't symmetry, it's honesty." But far from the flashing cameras and breaking headlines was Goldie Hawn, her closest friend. She was standing on the veranda of her Pacific Palisades home when the call came. For a moment, she couldn't move. It felt like the air had been pulled from the world, like time had stopped just for her. Because Diane wasn't just a colleague, she wasn't just another Hollywood legend. She was a sister, the kind of soul you only meet once in a lifetime. "No, not Diane," she whispered. Her voice cracked like glass. Just a week earlier, they had spoken. Diane had joked about her hats, about aging, and how growing old was really just another performance. Then, her voice softened. "Promise me you'll keep laughing," she said. Goldie had laughed, thinking it was just another bittersweet Dianeism. Now, that laughter echoed like a memory she wished she could hold in her hands. To the world, Diane's passing was a headline. But to Goldie, it was something much deeper. It felt like a piece of her heart was suddenly gone. But why did Diane matter so much to her? And what made their bond so different from the rest? To understand that, we have to go back to the beginning. Diane in Hollywood. Born in 1946, she grew up in a loving home filled with photographs, imagination, and quiet dreams. "I grew up in a family that didn't talk about feelings," she would later say. "We simply lived inside them." Diane watched her mother, creative, talented, full of ideas, quietly let her own dreams fade. And with each year that passed, Diane made a silent promise to herself: she would not disappear into the background. So, at 20, she packed a suitcase and moved to New York to pursue her dreams. She lived in a tiny, cold apartment. The radiator didn't work well, so at night she wore her coat inside and rubbed her hands to stay warm. Initially, things didn't work out. She went to audition after audition, but everywhere she got rejection. But then everything changed when she auditioned for the Broadway show. That stage didn't just give her a job, it opened the door she had been waiting for. Because in the audience one night sat a young Woody Allen. He watched her awkward charm, her honesty, the realness she carried, and he couldn't look away. He cast her in Play It Again, Sam in 1969, first on stage, then in the film. And just like that, Diane went from a struggling actress to someone Hollywood finally noticed. Then came The Godfather, the role that shifted everything. As Kay Adams, she brought a quiet strength and tenderness to one of cinema's greatest stories. And then, in 1977, came Annie Hall, a film that didn't just build her career, it changed the culture. Diane wasn't trying to perform, she was simply being herself. The movie won her the Oscar for Best Actress, and suddenly, the girl who once lived in a tiny apartment, shivering in her winter coat, was standing on Hollywood's biggest stage. From there, her career soared movie after movie. Accomplishment after accomplishment. She became a star, not by pretending, but by being unapologetically herself. And during this incredible rise, she met Goldie Hawn, two bright lights, two women who refused to fit into Hollywood's boxes. The friendship. Their story began in 1996 on the set of The First Wives Club, a story about three women, heartbreak, and resilience. The story was powerful, but off-camera, something even more special was beginning. It was the moment when Diane Keaton met Goldie Hawn. On paper, they seemed very different, but in spirit, they were the same. But on a cold New York night, Goldie noticed Diane shivering between takes. Without a word, she took off her own coat and wrapped it around Diane's shoulders. "You're always the strong one," Goldie whispered. "Let someone else carry it for a while." Diane looked up. A small smile spread across her face. In that quiet moment, something clicked, and just like that, a friendship was born, one that would last a lifetime. From that night on, their bond grew stronger with every shared laugh, every late-night conversation, every quiet moment of support. Behind the cameras, they created something truly special. They became more than friends. They became family. They shared laughter that echoed long after the cameras stopped rolling. They celebrated each other's victories, big and small, and offered comfort in moments of doubt and heartbreak. With each shared story, each quiet gesture, their bond grew stronger. They weren't just supporting each other through Hollywood's highs and lows, they were holding space for each other to be fully human. So when the news came and the world mourned, it wasn't just a headline for Goldie, it was heartbreak. But the saddest moment of all came when Goldie had to say goodbye for the last time. The final farewell. Diane Keaton's memorial felt like a scene from a movie no one wanted to film. Golden light streamed through tall windows. The room was full of some of the biggest names in Hollywood. Then Goldie walked to the podium. Her hands shook, not from age, but from pain. She placed a single white rose in front of Diane's portrait. For a long moment, she couldn't speak. The silence wasn't empty, it was full of love. Finally, she spoke. Diane wasn't just brilliant, she was brave. She didn't chase perfection, she chased truth. And she taught me that laughter is another word for courage. Her voice wavered, her breath shook. She was the sister I chose, the soul I trusted. And now, I carry her laughter with me, always. Some people cried openly, others bowed their heads. Even Hollywood, usually loud and glittering, was quiet. When the ceremony ended, Goldie stayed. She knelt by the portrait, placed the rose beside it, and whispered, "I'll keep laughing for both of us." The light turned the color of soft gold, the same hue as Diane's hair beneath studio lamps. Goldie's reflection touched Diane's image, two lives connected, one carrying the other's light. And sometimes, in the quiet of the night, Goldie swears she hears Diane's laugh, that bright, unforgettable laugh that could fill a room and lift anyone's spirits. She doesn't turn to look, she just smiles because some laughs never truly fade. Diane's legacy isn't just in the awards she won, though she won many. It's not just in the fashion she inspired, though everyone noticed her hats, her suits, and the way she carried herself with confidence. Her legacy lives on, in every woman who isn't afraid to grow older, in every dreamer who refuses to make themselves smaller, in every awkward girl who learns that being different isn't a flaw, it's a strength. She taught us that life isn't about being perfect, it's about being real. That challenges don't break you, they show you who you are. And that laughter, even in the darkest times, can heal your heart. Diane Keaton taught us that life doesn't have to be perfect to be beautiful. It only needs honesty, courage, and a little laughter. She showed us that being yourself, awkward, bold, and real, is more powerful than trying to fit in. So what do you think about Diane, the way she lived her life? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Also, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notifications bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming stories. Until then, see ya!